welcome to the podcast.
Hi, welcome to BSG Trainees Podcast.
We are back for our second episode in this very exciting mini-series.
Yes, in this series, we are speaking to registrars who are each undergoing a different out-of-programme fellowship.
The opportunity was to go to the American Liver Meeting and then to spend some time at UCSD. As an institution, they're really, really well set up to do MASLD research. And as someone with active research interest in MASLD, it was the perfect opportunity for me to go and sort of learn, meet new people and set up new collaborations for, future research. Yeah, highly recommend it. It was definitely the highlight of my year last year from a work point of view.
Today, we're speaking to Wenhao Li. He's an ST6 Hepatology trainee in East London. He's on the ACL pathway, which is the academic clinical lecturer pathway, having completed his PhD in MASLD. His out-of-programme experience sounded really interesting. He was able to travel to the US on a BSG travelling fellowship, which was essentially a BSG-funded opportunity for a trainee to attend the AASLD meeting in San Diego and to also spend a week in the UCSD MASLD Research Centre.
I don't know what AASLD is, but a month in San Diego sounds lovely.
Yeah, so for reference, the AASLD is the American Association for the Study of Liver Diseases, and this hosts one of the largest worldwide liver conferences each year.
And what about UCSD?
UCSD is the University of California, San Diego, which has the world-renowned MASLD Research Centre, which is headed up by Professor Rohit Lumba.
Okay, a lot of acronyms. So this out-of-programme fellowship is a chance for trainees with an interest in hepatology to attend the latest research meetings and clinical updates within the field. He also managed to combine that with the EASL masterclass in Savannah that was in the US at the same time.
Here's Wenhao to tell us a little bit about himself.
My name is Wenhao Li. I am a clinical lecturer and I'm ST6, based in East London, work at Royal London Hospital and do research at Queen Mary University of London. And then last year in November, I spent a month in San Diego as part of the BSG MASLD Research Travel Fellowship. The fellowship enabled me to attend the American Liver Meeting, the AASLD meeting, and also there was the first one held on MET-ALD as well. So there were two conferences, and I was able to spend a few weeks at the MASLD Research Centre in San Diego, and then finish the whole trip by going to the EASL AASLD masterclass, which was in Savannah on the other end of America.
Wow, that sounds amazing. How was it?
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely amazing. The BSG funded the time in San Diego, and then the EASL funded the masterclass. So I was able to, because both of them were in close proximity with each other, totally unrelated, I was able to essentially join both of those events on each end of the trip, essentially. So I managed to spend over a month in total in the States. Great opportunity, amazing opportunity to learn and develop collaborations, meet new people. Yeah, highly recommend it. It was definitely the highlight of my year last year from a work point of view.
So why did you actually apply for the fellowship?
This was the first year that the BSG have offered this fellowship, so it's brand new. So myself and Amy Johnson, who's the other recipient of this award, are actually the first two people to have been awarded this. So it only started last year. So it was a opportunity that came up that was advertised through the BSG that I saw, and it aligned with my research interest, which is so all of my clinical and academic research has been focused on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is now termed metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD. So for me, it was a perfect opportunity really that just arose, and it was a new thing that was set up only last year by the BSG. So I applied because the opportunity was to go to the American Liver Meeting and then to spend some time at UCSD with Professor Rohit Lumba and his group and team out there. So it was just a really fortunate opportunity that basically came up through the BSG.
So when you say it was an award, what do you mean by that? So did you have to apply, or what was the process of getting the fellowship?
So it was through the BSG website. So it was you had to fill out an application form stating why you wanted to do the fellowship, what you hope to get out of the fellowship, and then essentially attach your CV with it. So it was a fairly short application through the BSG.
I never know how people find these fellowships. Was it something you've been actively searching for on the BSG, or was it just through word of mouth that you'd heard about it?
No, it was advertised through social media. So I saw it on Twitter, and then I saw it on the BSG kind of mailing list newsletter. Yeah, so I saw that in advance, and then just decided to apply because timing wise, it also worked really well because I'd never been to the American Liver Meeting, partly because of cost and previously, whereas this opportunity was to include travel to AASLD meeting as well as some time out there at UCSD.
Thanks for explaining that. What would you say were the main things that you got out of the fellowship?
For me, the two things I really wanted to get out of it. So firstly, clinically, I wanted to spend time in a well-known US institutions, see how they do clinical research, because UCSD, the MASLD Research Centre, is a world-renowned centre where they do a lot of clinical research, clinical trials in the MASLD space, and have a lot of world leaders, both clinically as well as from a basic science perspective, that are producing amazing work all the time. So they are, as an institution, they're really, really well set up to do MASLD research. And as someone with active research interest in MASLD, it was the perfect opportunity for me to go and sort of learn. So from a clinical perspective, I was interested in see how they conduct their clinical trials, so how they recruit their patients, what the recruitment processes was, what the administrative kind of setup was like, essentially the whole infrastructure to support their sort of research portfolio from a MASLD space perspective was really important to see how, and then sort of from a clinical point of view, how the hepatologists practiced, and what the key differences were between their kind of ward rounds and different MDTs, how they saw patients, and the type of research clinics and setup they have in order to facilitate all of their research studies. So that, from a clinical point of view, that was really important for me. And then from an academic perspective, being able to spend time with Professor Lumber, as well as a number of other professors and academics out there and doctors. Some of them are professors, some of them are sort of similar stage to me in terms of age and training, just seeing how they do things and what the similarities and differences are with the UK and how we do things in London. So those were kind of my two key things that I wanted to observe. And from a personal development point of view, it was a great opportunity to essentially network and meet new people and set up new collaborations for future research projects, etc. So that all of those things were essentially what I was able to achieve when in my time out there.
And from what you've said, it seems really important that you took this opportunity post-PhD, because prior to this, you weren't 100% sure of your direction. Do you think it meant you got more out of the post?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. So I think because my research has all been in MASLD, and that's the direction I'm heading in terms of a future career. It was, so I think you're completely right. So I think having had that research experience of knowing what I want to do, the type of research I like, and already knowing the background of who I was going to meet, because obviously from papers, from other conferences, you know who the eminent professors and academics are. So to have the opportunity to obviously meet them face to face and spend some one-on-one time was really valuable from a mentoring point of view, from just developing research ideas. It was really good.
Great. And did you manage to get any hands-on clinical experience?
So because we were kind of research scholars, we weren't really, so we were able to shadow sort of attendings or consultants and sort of research nurses during research visits and doing their sort of daily ward rounds and different MDT meetings. But because obviously we don't have a license to practice, we weren't able to have any kind of hands-on. It was just purely observing.
And just to sort of pick up on that, so I've heard some people talk about observerships as opposed to fellowships. So is there a significant difference between observerships and fellowships?
I think depends, because obviously it depends on the country as well. So the US, in order for you to do any clinical work, you need USMLEs. And from an accreditation, from a sort of litigation perspective, you're not allowed to make any clinical decisions. So it would purely observe other people. Of course, you can ask questions, but clinical. So because if you're seeing any patients, you're not making any clinical decisions by yourself. It's always just watching and observing other people, the people who are actually in charge. So more focused on the academic research and clinical trials end rather than the kind of. So I didn't really spend sort of weeks as a block in the hospital, if that makes sense. I joined rounds and different MDTs at different times of the week, and then I was able to meet several different consultants because they switch every few days in terms of their clinical rota, and spoke to some of the sort of junior doctors or the equivalent of the registrars out in San Diego, and sort of being able to compare their experiences of training compared to our kind of, the UK system. So that was quite insightful.
So obviously I can see that you've got so much out of it, and it sounds like it was quite a privilege to be able to go there and see what it was like. Was there anything you found particularly challenging about it?
I think challenging from a personal point of view is I was away from my family for quite a while. So I think that was personally, that was the most challenging. I decided to go out there by myself for over a month. So that was challenging from a family standpoint, not being able to see my wife and son. And then I think the other challenging part of it from a clinical point of view, obviously when you're sort of listening and observing their sort of rounds and when they're doing their clinical work, although there are lots of similarities, just in terms of the everyday language, the medical terminologies are obviously different from the UK and the US. So that took a little time to get used to, just very simple, silly things. But apart from that, I think the whole experience was positive. I don't really have any negatives at all from that whole experience, to be honest.
Okay, great. What advice, if any, would you give to someone who was thinking about doing a fellowship or, I suppose, going abroad?
Highly recommend it, really. So it's a great opportunity to develop new skills, meet new people, set up new collaborations. And depending on your own kind of interest, so within gastroenterology and hepatology, there's loads of different opportunities. So my advice would be to keep an eye out for these sort of opportunities, not just through the BSG, but of course, there are these opportunities, I think, through UEG as well, and other kind of organizations. So I think it depends, no matter what your interests are, these sort of fellowships will always enrich your own experiences, make you more reflective of your own practice, make you think about things in a different way, particularly for research. And then if you're someone who is clinically inclined and, for example, or sort of want to focus more on endoscopies, definitely, endoscopy fellowships abroad will be a fantastic opportunity as well, just to see how different people operate. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and also to essentially improve your CV, because all of these things, when it comes to job applications down the line, all these things help as additional things that you've achieved during your training. So I think for me, I would highly recommend these sort of fellowships to anyone contemplating it. And the way to go about it, if you're not 100% sure, is to talk to people that have done it, or, directly contact the people who are always listed on these sort of fellowships responsible for the fellowship. So that, I think that's absolutely fine to do, because ultimately they want to find the right person, and by showing initiative, it'll go a long way to help with that process if it's something that you really feel strongly about. And of course, depending on your circumstances, depending on your clinical job or research, timing may be an issue, family might be an issue. But I think if you can and have the opportunity to, I definitely would recommend sort of applying for these types of fellowships. If anyone wants to ask any questions about my experiences doing that fellowship, very happy for them to contact me directly by email or through Twitter or social media. And I will be speaking at the BSG Live later this year about this fellowship as well. So happy to speak to anyone who's attending that meeting in person then to tell them a bit more about my experiences.
That's such a nice offer, thank you. Also wanted to say thank you for being so generous with your time and speaking to us today on the podcast.
For those that are interested, the links to the fellowship can be found at the bottom of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you have learnt a bit more about what a observership abroad would look like.
And how to get to San Diego. Please tell everyone and share the podcast.
And please join us for the next episode where we will be speaking to a registrar who's doing a non-clinical hour programme.
Ooh, does that even exist?
It does.
Wow.
See you next time.
Bye.